Okay, there we go. We are live, and welcome back to another live, AJ and Matt. And I haven't been live for a month. I just realised that myself. I've been live elsewhere on other channels. Gareth, I think I've done 2 on Gareth's, video tasties since I've last gone live here. So yeah, things have been happening. Life's been, weekends have been busy and whatnot, but there we go. So obviously we're back here with Chris from Cypher Sigma Screen Time and Toys. Hi Chris, welcome back.
Thank you very much, AJ. Good to be back.
Nice to see you again. Yep. And obviously Matt from Matt V's Movies. How you doing, Matt?
Okay, trying to get my hand in. Yep. Fine, thank you.
So I will add links to this for both of them afterwards. And yeah, so I know we're going to talk about the death of cinema today, and Matt, it was you said why not discuss this, so we've taken it as a topic and we're going to run with it. We've invited Chris in because Chris is a card carrying member of Cineworld, is it?
Yeah, Cineworld.
So he probably goes cinema. Well, he goes cinema definitely more than what I do, and Matt does, I'm assuming. Yeah. Chris is there every week. So we'll get into that in a little bit. What's been going on, gents? Obviously, we had our meet up in London, and we went to see Indy, which was a great meet up. It was good. I fell asleep in the film. Yeah, I told you that would happen. Darkened room and a comfy chair, and I'm well away. It did make the time pass a bit quicker for me. At least there was that. But there we go. So what we've been up to, Chris, yourself, what's been going on with your channels, whatever? What have you been up to?
Yeah, majorly not too much. I'll see a bit more on the toy side of things than the film. I do have a few more bits to come. Just been trying to catch up on some of my films and DVDs that I've had outstanding and that. Plus, I had I've had a list of stuff that I wanted to go back, and there's a film called Casshern that you probably never would have heard of. So I had a special edition, which was a Japanese import, and I've had it for years. And I sat down to watch it a few days ago and realised it's all in Japanese, not English. So I did have the 2-disc edition, and I got rid of it. And I went, I've got this brilliant edition. Never got around to watching it. Sat down to watch it because I wanted to do a video, and then was like, oh, it's all in Japanese, so I can't understand. No subtitles for Japanese. It's just yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting.
I've got the film. I've got a film called The Pool.
Okay.
Which is I don't know if it's Japanese or Korean movie, and about these couple of individuals that get stuck in a swimming pool. Okay. It's empty and they get in, they can't get out. I think it starts filling up or something, and then there's a crocodile or alligator that comes in, and that's I've got the same problem with that. Okay. But it's a film where when I watch it, I'll just probably make up what they're saying in my own head. I'm pretty sure it's quite light on dialogue. With only 2 people, there can't be too much where I don't get what's going on just by the visual aspect of it, that these 2 people were trapped with a killer alligator, a crocodile in the pool. So yeah, but I'm guessing your one would be a bit harder to do that with.
Yeah, sci-fi and a lot of CG and stuff. So, but yeah, it's just, it's strange because the first disc, the options at the beginning, like play, movie, they're all in English.
Okay,
but there's no, when you go to the audio, it's all in Japanese. And when I've clicked on the different versions, it's like commentary or that. It has 2 bonus discs. So the second one is actually the making of, which again, the titles are in English.
Yep.
So I'm not quite sure what's happened. I don't know why they would put the titles in English. And then,
all right.
But
cool. What we'll do is we'll talk about your latest cinema trip in a minute, because then we can sort of use that as a segue in to talking about the death of cinema and the goings on And interestingly, the what's going on with the writer's strike will also no doubt have a big impact on this as well. So that will come into play in discussion. So about yourself, Matt, what have you been up to? You watched anything lately? I will say that I will come back to that, Chris, when we talk about your latest cinema trip. But Matt, what have you been up to? What have you watched lately or anything? Anything good?
I mean, we did put on the Whale the other night. My missus sort of was more into watching that. I kind of sort of zoned out towards the end of it. I don't know. I just didn't. I thought it was a great performance. I thought he was acted very well in that. But I don't know. I just kind of found myself kind of looking. I had my tablet with me, and I was just starting to look at that, so I drifted off. But she thought it was a good film. But yeah, I don't think it's something I would revisit. Yeah, just nothing really that I can think of that I've watched. I'm interested to watch that Bird Box Barcelona that you mentioned. You did a review, didn't you, this morning? I think
that's right. I watched it. I put it up last night. Actually, I couldn't sleep, so I got up and I watched that and then reviewed it in late at night and put the review up. Yeah. Are you still there? Anyone?
I'm still there. Matt's frozen.
Matt's frozen.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, have you seen The Whale?
I have seen The Whale. Yeah, it was one of the first films. Oh, it was disappeared now.
That's vanished. Oh, there we go. The Leftovers TV show.
Yeah.
Remember when people? Have you seen that?
No, I've heard of it. I haven't.
Great. Matt's back.
Yeah. I think I lost internet or something.
Yeah. You lost internet. Chris weren't moving, so I wondered if it was me. Yeah. So sorry. So Chris has seen The Whale, yeah. And where was you? He was mid. Something.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I didn't drift off. I went to see it at the cinema, so I didn't there. But I mean, the opening scene, I'm sure for Matt, like you, were a bit surprised as they start the film off with.
Yeah.
It's not exactly as you expected. But yeah,
remind me how they started. I cannot remember.
It opens up, it kind of zooms him. He has a laptop open. He is looking at.
He's knocking one out, isn't he? Or
something. Yeah. Which is not what you expect at all from this movie. But yeah, I think it just it's good acting and that. It just, I think a lot of it's very biblical in places, and obesity and a lot of those subjects. And I think unless you have a lot of links to them, it kind of takes you off that path, which I could find. If I'd probably watched it at home, I probably would have been like Matt and got a bit distracted. But yeah.
I watched it at home. I was all right with it. I don't mind the take. I don't mind stepping away from sort of. Every now and then, I quite like stepping into a film that's more character driven and slower paced. Do you know what I'm saying? But it was all right. But is it one to keep to a rewatch? Probably not. No. Just because it's subject matter and that sort of a thing. But Brendan Fraser was great in it. I can't knock his performance, and but it was a bit of a Me myself, like you said, Matt. Yeah, I watched Bird Box last night. Bird Box Barcelona.
Yeah.
I honestly had no idea that this film was even coming. And I enjoyed it. I can't remember Bird Box too well, the Sandra Bullock one from 2018. All I know is it's not something I really wanted to revisit. But I felt that this one, it opened the world up to newer ideas, which I found quite appealing in its the themes that it was playing in of religion and false gods and false prophets and all this. Thematically, I enjoyed that stuff because I've got a fascination with not so much religion. I've got a fascination with people and religion and their connection to religion, because I'm not a religious person at all. I've got no belief system whatsoever like that. So much so that I was in a conversation with someone, and I'll tell you this about religion, and they're asking me what I believe in and all this, and I was saying that, you know, that there's a certain part of me that looks. This sounds really depressing. The fact that life ends, and we're only here for a finite time, I find to be quite comforting. I find it quite a comfort that life does come to an end, and then there's nothing more beyond that. There's a certain appeal to that, shall we say. And so I was having this conversation with this fella about it, a religious person, and I basically said to him that, you know, he was asking me why I don't believe in that, and I said, well, you know, I just don't. This, but I said to him that I'd be pretty damn annoyed with my, you know, with what I believe and what I think, that if my life did end here, only then to find out that it does carry on elsewhere, I'm going to be pretty upset, because I'm looking forward to this fact that there is no more after this. No, it sounds really depressing, but there we go. But you know what I mean? So I quite like the thematically when films play on that sort of a thing, and false gods and prophets. It kind of intrigues me, and how people are quite easily, I don't want to say the word manipulated. I see religion as a control measure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As a way of controlling the masses and
Power.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting from that perspective. But yeah.
So
there we go.
Is the film in Spanish?
Yeah, you need it subbed. The main girl is a British actress. She was in Barbarian. What I watched was a dubbed version, and some of the dubbing is pretty damn awful. I will say that when you're watching a dubbed one. Yeah, you do need it. Really, it's one of those films. It'll be better watched in its own.
With subtitles.
Yeah, but it's a nice. It's more of a sidequel than a sequel. You know what I mean? It don't directly lead on from that film. It's just sort of like, well, this is something else that's happening in the world, and it just leads to more.
Yeah.
It isn't the same. It isn't these people trying to get away from it. There's more to it. Oh, I said it in the review anyway, and it says in the description for the film. But yeah, no, it was all right. It was all right.
I might check that out tonight, maybe.
Yeah. Let's see who's about. So we've got Chris Allen here. Hi, Chris. How you doing? Hope you're well. Stephen Luther from Sacramento. What's up, AJ, Matt, and everyone? Hi, Stephen. How you doing? Yes, I did see your message on that that you linked me to. No, I haven't seen the original version of. Was it what Dead film was it? It was one of them zombie films. I've not seen the original for. Movie Mad says, hi, folks. How you keeping, mate? You all right? And Whale was too depressing for him, so he turned it off.
Well, yeah, it's quite a. I can understand that.
Yeah.
That's it for messages. There aren't no more. No one else has put anything up whatsoever, apart from him. He. Turn of the Living Dead, that's the one. Yeah. So there's like a remake in the works or something. Stephen linked me to it on was it Facebook? I don't know. But yeah. So let's talk about the death of cinema. But let's start with Chris's latest cinema trip, because he's the one who went. I don't know where he went. So Chris, how was your latest cinema trip, and what did you see?
So yeah, I went on Thursday. I took my dad to see Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, which obviously me and AJ both got reviews up and we both liked. I won't go into too much detail just as it's just come out to spoil stuff. But yeah, it was
go and see the review.
Yeah, or AJ's one either.
No, go see.
I think very like-minded, but yeah, but you'll learn something on AJ's. That's so yeah, it was quite good. And that obviously for a bit of planning for this video, I went and spoke to my Cineworld, because Matt had sent me an article a little while ago on basically it looks like Cineworld are going under again, which we know we've seen them keep coming up and down. Are they going to recover? The official statement, what I saw last, was that they have to or they have to find somebody to cover everything. They won't sell the UK, Ireland, and America individually.
Yeah.
And that's what I could see on the internet. Matt's article went a little further and said that they haven't found anything and that's it, game over, which it may well be. So I went and had a word with some of the staff there just to see what their impression was. I was very tactful in what I said because obviously I didn't want to go, oh, you're losing your jobs. But so yeah, they were very optimistic. They said my local site, which is only a few minutes from my house, that it's very profitable now. So that's a good thing for them. There are rumours that they have a private owner that may take them. They don't know. That's just a rumour of yet, whether that's just a Northampton branch or if it's the UK or whatever. I don't know what's involved with that. But yeah, there's a meeting Tuesday. So the gentleman did say if I came in next week, I could always ask him and he could give me an update to what that meeting was. So, but who knows? I mean, he could easily turn around and go, nope, they are going under, even though we're profitable, because I think they have a few hundred, or they have like 130, I think, in the UK, Cineworld. So like 5 or 10 could be profitable, but if the others aren't, then it won't really marry up. So,
okay.
But yeah, so optimistic for me.
Oh, sorry. Can you? I had a little feedback.
Yeah.
So Matt, obviously you've got this article. You dug it out. I've sort of stayed away from a lot of it. So I mean, I know the basic thingies, and I can see what's going on. So from your perspective, because obviously the Empire is shutting doors as well, aren't they?
They are, yeah. But interestingly, looking earlier today, and it does look like, certainly in the US, the CEO of Cineworld has stepped down and another guy is taking over. So obviously that's the US. So I don't know whether that's going to have an impact on what's going to be happening in the UK. I'm not sure at the moment, but yeah. So from Empire's point of view, it looks like they're already shutting some of the cinemas around the country. Some are still open. I think the one in Leicester Square, that's the big one, and I think that's kind of still operating.
Yeah.
So it would appear that it's just certain cinemas that are shutting, maybe the ones that aren't profitable, just not getting the footfall through the door. So whether it's a complete collapse of the company, or they're like say looking for another buyer, but they're still keeping things going, it's a bit unclear, to be honest.
Yeah, it's I mean, this has been signposted for some time, really. I would say. I don't see the Leicester Square, your big city, inner city cinemas going anywhere, especially like London. But it's those satellite ones, those littler ones elsewhere. Do you see any reprieve from this?
I think it's going to be a consolidation. I think you're going to find some companies are going to fall by the wayside, and maybe the remaining ones are going to either take some of those cinemas themselves, or they're just going to shut them down. And much like I think you're going to find with the streaming sites, eventually be some consolidation, because people can't subscribe to all these things. And equally, I suppose, because of the streaming now, a lot of people are deciding that they don't necessarily need to go to the cinema anymore. It's not that important to them.
No, that's right. I mean, Chris, you're a member of Cineworld. So you've got the card. So you pay X amount a year, is it?
Yeah, so well, it's done over a month. So if you join Cineworld for the first year, you get a red card. There is no difference in price. It just means you get 10% off on the food there. So the confectionery, so if it's pick and mix, popcorn, whatever. And then after a year, you get like the black card and you get 25% off, which is obviously what I've had for many years. And I say Cineworld about 3 months ago reduced their prices. So it was $15.99. It's now $10.99 a month. So
okay, that in itself is all right. That's not bad. But let me propose this to you, because I know that I asked you about cost and all this sort of thing, right? So roughly, I'm, hypothetically speaking, I'm going, well, not hypothetically, back a few years. I've got 3 children, but let's say I go to the cinema with me, the wife, and 2 children, younger children. All in all, how much do you look at me spending on a trip out? I'm talking with, I treat, some popcorn, some drinks, maybe a hot dog, whatever. How much am I looking at with entry fee as a family of 4?
Well, I say what I looked up, so it'd be £28 for a family of 4 for the tickets themselves, and then obviously when you're talking like popcorn and stuff, I'd imagine probably in the 45 to 50 range. For yourselves, for the whole
family.
I would imagine for the whole family. If you got, I mean, they do deals of like popcorn and a drink for like £7 or £8. So again, that's you not being a card carrier member, because obviously if you had a card, I can knock 25% off that already. But
yes, but as a card carrying member, does the one card get everyone else in cheaper?
Yeah. So if I go with friends, if they're paying for something, I just have to show my card and it gets their money off.
Okay, that's good then. So it ain't just
it's not just quite good me. Then. Yeah. So I mean, there are a few advantages like that. That's the same. Obviously, mine has a Starbucks as well, and we get 10% off there. So obviously, if I use my card again, I can get 10% off.
But realistically, then, as a family day out, just for a couple of hours, we're talking here, I'm looking at about 50 quid.
Yes, but that's if you take the option you've advised. So Cineworld is what, I don't know if the other cinemas do it, but you can bring your own food in. So realistically, you could pay £28.
Yeah.
Tesco's, buy yourself some popcorn, buy a few bottles of drink for probably like £5.
No, I get that, but we're going worst case scenario here.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to see how much a whole that taking your own food in. With actually buying there, because obviously that's a big part of it, because as we know, cinemas make a lot of their money on that sort of stuff. So we're taking that into account here. I mean, me personally, when I go cinema, I take my own popcorn in, because I can go down the road here and there's in the shopping centre, there's actually there's a stall that sells popcorn and all that, and I buy a big bag, that yay big chocolate block, for about £3.50, and that can be split over 4 people happily. Do you know what I mean? So it is an expense. Also, I mean, okay, let's okay, this is the other thing that comes into play here with cinemas, and this I think is the biggest killer at the moment of cinemas, is streaming, right? Because 4 weeks ago, I go to see Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Okay. That film has now been released digitally.
Yep. You
can watch it digitally. You can pay for it and watch it digitally. And we're talking 4 weeks. 4 weeks. The Flash has already been announced that it's going to be hitting digital on the 17th. So we're talking in a couple of days' time.
Wow.
The Flash is available 4 weeks after its release. Fast X, that hit digital platforms for purchase. I'm not talking about you can go in and see it for free. I think you have to pay. But my point is, it's there. It's there within that amount of time. Now, 4 weeks is that's no time whatsoever. That's no time. So why should I have to? Why should I go cinema to see a film when I know that in 4 weeks' time, right, that I can pay to watch on streaming? Nay, I can log in to a dodgy site, a dodgy streaming site that are available, www. whatever, bam, it's there, and I can watch that film on my TV for nothing. Okay, beyond the fact that morally that's questionably wrong, but my point is why should I have? Why should I have to? Why should I spill out money to go on a cinema trip when I can watch it on my TV in the comfort of my?
No, that's, so I'd probably say there's 3 factors that I take into consideration. One, I say I like to help fund the film industry. Obviously, their initial capital is always done off cinema before, we always get, if you go on Google and that, it's always how much you make at the cinema. And we know as you've done Transformers made, 400 million off a 200 million budget. But if they sold like 500 million in toys, they're probably well quids in. So they don't necessarily need the movie to have done that well because there's other revenue. Other films don't have that. I understand that, which is why that I would say first. 1. 2, not everybody has the same sort of setup. I know Matt's going for that, but the big screen, the sound and that. I mean, my home system is nowhere near what a cinema is. So for me, that's a better experience.
Yeah.
And 3, and obviously Matt's already mentioned this. I said, for me, I go in and I kind of go into a zone. I don't know if it's that's me. I go sit down. I will not touch my phone and I will focus on the screen and I will enjoy that experience, whether it's good or bad for 90 minutes, 2 hours. Whereas when I'm at home, I'm always like, oh, something's on my phone, something's gone by the house, the dog's barked and something. And, how many times I've had to rewind films because I've missed something. And I don't know. I just like it kind of going into that full kind of mental experience to just enjoy films because, you get distracted at home and you don't appreciate stuff as much.
No, but I'm playing devil's advocate here. I mean, I know what you mean about going into a zone because generally when I go cinema, I go into a zone myself called a sleep. Regardless of what the film is, I'll likely doze off. Doesn't matter if it's the best film ever, I'll doze off. It's just something about dark. But devil's advocate here, right? Okay. I fund the film industry enough anyway, right? This way, I'm talking hypotheticals here, and I'm taking it from someone else's perspective that could be my perspective. I've funded the film industry for as long as I can remember. I've purchased films on VHS. I've then repurchased that film on DVD. I've then repurchased that film on Blu-ray. I've then repurchased that film on 4K. I've purchased memorabilia and stuff associated to those films throughout my entire life. So again, we're at a point where you've got to look at the pennies. We do, everyone does. But my point is again, why? What's making me go to the cinema when I know that I can watch that film in 4 weeks' time?
I'd say the only thing kind of going at is the experience itself. Obviously, not taking account obviously the big screen, the sound, and that. And I will use the example of the last Spider-Man live action one. So that was. It doesn't happen all the time, but when there are big movies out, I've been to see certain Star Wars films and stuff. To have like when I went to see the Spider-Man film, and if you haven't seen it, spoiler warning. I know it's been out a few years now, but obviously when Charlie Cox turned up and when Andrew Garfield turned up and Tobey Maguire, like the cheers literally from the people around you and that atmosphere, like you can't get that. Even if you had like 6 mates around your house to watch it, it wouldn't be the same atmosphere.
Mm.
And I think I do like kind of that atmosphere of being around people and kind of obviously because I review movies. It's interesting when I do review them, especially with like comedies and stuff, because you're like, I'll find something really funny, but you're sitting in the cinema with like 50 other people and no one laughs. You're like, well, must just be me then. But I don't know. That's probably more of a personal preference than that. But I think because of the whole experience, a lot of things.
Okay, so I'll put this to you then. So I get that because that experience existed for me when I went to see Endgame.
Yeah.
It was, but I'm at a point, and same with Spider-Man here, right? And the only other time that's really happened majorly, I think, was when in '97 I went to see the re-release of Empire Strikes Back, the special edition, where everyone was in cheers, and I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, wait until Han Solo's being lowered into the carbonite and carbon freeze, and she says, I love you, and he responds with, I know. I said to you, I guarantee you there'll be a round of applause at that point.
Yeah.
And there was. So I can't cite many instances like that where a whole auditorium of individuals are fully invested in a property. Now, they were there because it was Star Wars and they were all Star Wars fans. Endgame, I understand, because this was the culmination of 21 films or whatever it was, get to this point. And we've had that build up, and this was at the height of the MCU. Spider-Man, again, that was much akin to the Endgame and what Endgame gave you. So that experience, for every one of them experiences, I could probably cite 20 experiences for each where I'm sat there with individuals now talking, individuals now constantly on their phones. I mean, I myself have got up and gone over to people and told them to shut the hell up. I've got no qualms about standing up and going and doing that. Much to the dismay of my children when they were younger, they hated it. I even at one point got up out of my seat and went and sat next to a group of 3 people that were talking. I sat myself in the seat next to them and told them to shut the hell up and stayed sat there for about 10 minutes. Because it doesn't bother me in the least to do that, right? So again, for every one of them experiences, I can cite X amount where the experience is bad. And that now leads me to go into the cinema at a time when there's no one there. I don't want no one else in that cinema with me.
Right.
I find that to be a better experience.
Yeah.
Because the anxiety of having to deal with individuals that just, and when you've got a full cinema and there's just people doing it left, right and centre, here, there, and you can't do nothing about it. So again,
my take on it, I do think that we're kind of coming to a point now where I think in the past you've had the multiplexes and it's worked, but I do think now with, like you say, with the release dates so close now, literally 4-week window between cinema digital release, I think the industry has got to look, and unfortunately it's going to mean less cinemas, but I think they need to look at the business model and change it to more of an experience. Like you would go to a restaurant, like you go to a concert, like you go to a theatre. I mean, we went to the IMAX at the BFI, and I quite liked the feel of it. We went in, there was a bar, there was a cafe. It felt very relaxed. It felt very, very welcoming. I quite enjoyed the experience. I know probably it would have been far better to see an actual IMAX filmed film on the screen. I think I agree to a certain extent what you said. It was a bit too close. I think maybe because that particular film wasn't filmed in the IMAX, but there's also the 4DX, which I think Cineworld do that, don't they? Or is it Empire?
Milton Keynes do it. That's the local one to me, but yeah, they do the 4DX with
where
the chairs.
Seats rumble, smoke, rain, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
there's still the 3D aspect, and I know they're not tending to release many 3D titles, but they're still showing 3D films, and I still think there's a market, for that. But I think what they need to do is focus in on it being more of an experience rather than just as it has been before. You go to the cinema, you see the film, then you wait 6 months, a year for that physical release to come out. Those days are gone. It's so fast now that literally you can watch it on your screen at home. Why bother going to a cinema, sit there on your phone doing whatever, chatting? Just watch it at home. You might as well do that. I honestly feel that, and I think this is why the two chains are struggling, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are other chains that follow suit. I do think we're coming to a point now where the whole business model's got to change because of the way things are released.
Well, it has to. I mean, I feel, I don't know if you agree with this, that the release strategies at the moment are sort of counterintuitive to one another. And like I was just saying, on the one hand, you're releasing in the cinema, and then let's take the extreme of this, right? Let's say 3 months, even 3 months, to your streaming release or your physical media release. That's a short window of time. Very short window of time, especially the older that you are, because as we know, time's essentially an abstract concept, and the one person's perception of time differs from someone else, and as you get older in life, time moves a lot faster than what it does when you're a young person. And there's a certain reason for this, and that being, if you remember back in the days when you was before 10 years old, the 6-week summer holidays for you would seem like they went on forever. It would seem like a massive stretch of time, right? And looking from one Christmas to another seemed like a huge stretch of time. And that's because at the age of 10, or even at the age of 8, whatever age you want to take, if you go with the age of 8, a year is 1/8 of your entire life, which is a huge chunk of your life, of that entire life. But as you get older and you're about 50 years old, 1 year is a much smaller time frame for the perception of your entire life. So, and as an adult, with the amount that we have going on in life, with jobs, family, all this sort of different stuff, bills to pay, all these everyday things, time is a concept that, like I said, it's abstract. And so even 3 months is a very small window of time from a cinema release to a streaming or physical release. So that begs the question that, like I said, you've got a counterintuitive release strategy here, because on the one hand, you're releasing this film that I know that in 3 months' time I can see, and like I said, now you are looking at a month's window in a lot of cases. So the question is, why do I need to go and see it when I know that I can see it in 3 months' time? Do you see what I'm saying? And then the other flip side of that, as a purchaser of physical media, and this is where physical media and definitely physical media comes into it, is if I'm seeing a film now at the cinema, why do I now need to rent it in 3 months' time or buy it in 3 months' time? Now, I'm not talking from the basis of a collector of physical media here and a proper film lover. I'm talking about your everyday average Joe person who would have used to go cinema and used to buy the odd DVD here and there. Those people that kept these businesses alive, because as we know, it's an ever shrinking business anyway. So they're working. I can't get my head around that they work counterintuitive to one another, because I understand from a business perspective that they want the money and they want that money now. So this film this film has faltered at the box office. It's not done particularly well. So let's get it out as quick as we can while it's still fresh in people's minds to try and generate a little bit more income. And that's exactly what they're doing. Whereas before, you used to have a film come out, say RoboCop, right? It would come out in the cinema. Even at the age I was at, it was like, oh, I'm not allowed to go and see RoboCop. Damn, I can't see it unless I rent a moody, dodgy camcorder pirate that, you know, really bad back in the day then. I can't see this film. I've got to wait. I've got to wait however long I've got to wait. And even if I had seen a film at the cinema, I remember the excitement that I would feel when I walked past the cinema, the video store, and, you know, however many months later it was, or a year later, whatever that release window was, there was a poster for it, or there was a standee for that film that, wow, you know, and that excitement is then raised again. That excitement level comes back for that film because it was in the cinema, but so long ago that you want to see it again. But that's been lost.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I guess, like you say, you have to look at it from the filmmaker's point of view. I mean, they have to get investors to, you know, invest money in these projects. And again, I'm finding film budgets just seem to be going up and up and up. And those investors, they want their money back ASAP. So if it's not doing well in the box office, then, like you say, they're wanting to get it out on the streaming platform as soon as possible to recoup as much and give back to the investors as much or quickly as possible. And because otherwise, they're not going to get that investment in the future. They're going to turn around and say, well, no, there's no point. We're not making anything out of this.
No.
But like you say, it's a double-edged sword because it's kind of, as consumers, a lot of us, and especially now, and even more so in the next 6 months, you know, mortgage rates are continuing to rise. Interest rates are going to keep going up. People's disposable income is getting squeezed, and it will continue to get squeezed probably for the next year at least. So people are thinking, well, you know, I can't really afford to go to the cinema now, so I'll wait a couple of months, and I'll be able to. The whole family can watch this film for, I don't know, £10 or whatever it is, to rent it on a platform. Let's get our popcorn from Tesco's for £1 or whatever it is, and you know, people are gonna. Unfortunately, you know, at this time, it's a perfect storm, isn't it? You've got the cost of living crisis, you've got the streaming coming in, and the cinemas are in the middle, kind of. You know, unless they get a real blockbuster, and I think something like Mission Impossible, that will do well. That will stay in the cinemas for the next few months.
Yeah.
And possibly, I mean, it happened with Maverick. It was still in the cinema when they brought out the physical releases, and it was still doing well in the cinema. So
yeah, you have the exception.
It can happen, but
it's few and far between.
Times it doesn't.
Yeah, there's too much choice. There's too many films.
Yeah.
Let me go to some comments because I had the comments switched off, as in I couldn't see what was coming up. So I don't know what's here. Movie Mad says, let me just flip that because you can see my hand. I don't like that. There we go. I've seen your Race Titanic review. Yep. Thank you very much. I've lost where I am. It was a great movie. Hi everyone, hope you are all doing well, enjoying the thunderstorms. I'm not having any. I ain't had no thunderstorms here. Have you guys?
Not yet, not today.
No, rain, just a lot of rain.
It's been raining, it's been cloudy, but no thunder here. Stephen, are you going to do a Halloween series of videos this year, review horror films in October? No, I don't get involved in that. I couldn't sit down and do. I know some people, and hats off to them for doing their 31 days of Halloween, where they watch 31 horror films or horror type films in a trot. I couldn't do it. It would mess with my mind and put me into a very dark place that I need some levity from. I couldn't do it. What about you guys? Any Halloween? We'll get back to the main chat in a minute because we'll go on to what's going on in Hollywood at the moment. But which is relevant, I think, has a relevant knock-on effect. But any Halloween plans for you two?
No, not for me. I think I did the Annie May, and I think that was enough to tip me over the edge having to do a video, a review a day on that. I'm not the biggest horror fan, but it is something I want to get into. So maybe if next year I get into a bit more of the slashers and stuff. Obviously, being with Matt and that, they've given me a few and stuff. I think I've got Manhunt to watch soon. So if you call that a slasher, or it's because I haven't seen it. So but yeah.
Psychological thriller.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the first Hannibal Lecter one.
Yeah. Very good film. Michael Mann.
Yeah, that's it. What about you, Matt? Any Halloween plans?
I mean, there's a couple of films that I might do over the Halloween period. Again, I don't tend to. The last couple of years, I've done a series. I think I did last year. I did the Paranormal Activity films.
That's right. Yeah.
Quite a few of those. I think 7 of those. But I think this year I probably might just do a couple of films. But I don't go in for the whole 31 days. For me, again, not a big horror. I watch horror films, but I'm not a collector of horror, so I don't have much in my collection. But yeah, I might do a couple of videos, but that'll be about it.
Yeah, I might do. I mean, thinking about it, my what have I got later today? My what's it called? Desert Island Discs, where I do a shelf and I pick like the one film from that shelf. Today I've got a Steelbook one. I'm just plugging the video a little bit here. It's a Steelbook shelf I do today, people, so you can see all these lovely Steelbooks. I might tie my horror shelf, because I've got horror stuff on one shelf. I might tie that in with Halloween. It sort of makes sense, and then do a sort of Halloween-esque, horror film one, and maybe a couple of. I'm sure something like Chucky season 3 will be on, or something like that, for me to review, but nothing big. Chris Allen says the new boss to lead Cineworld out of bankruptcy as family step aside. New boss to lead.
That's what I've read. Yeah.
And in 4K, I think Technic's talking about I don't know if you're talking about the downloads. Great videos, AJ. Thank you very much. Dr. Impossible says, I'm still amazed, AJ, that the universe came from nothing. How can nothing come from nothing? If you could explain that, then you can have my wife, car, cottage, and my entire film book collection. Hello.
Well, wasn't it that it's not? It came from nothing. There was something like particles and stuff, and it was the combination of these particles bumping into each other that created the Big Bang. So there was something before that, but we don't know what was before those particles. I think that's
Chris. Right.
I don't need the wife or anything.
He's trying to jump in there.
Sorry. Jump in.
I'll give that one some think, Dr. Impossible. I'll mull it over. I'll sleep on it. The recent film that I thought Luke's Films unboxing was really, really good was Sonic the Hedgehog, because that movie is the first too. Sonic was all right. It was a lot of fun.
I think it opens that door to game films, isn't it? Because we got Super Mario after that. And even I think the Mortal Kombat, we're getting a second one of them. So I think it's kind of rejuvenated that side of things, or that franchises.
Memories taking my son to see Sonic was great. See a movie with Jim Carrey in the cinema. Is there a movie you thought, wow, that's a really good film when you were in the cinema? What's beyond? Let's not talk about your Mission Impossible one, Chris, because your review's up fresh for that. Let's step back after that. Give me a film that has totally wowed you, and you as well, Matt, obviously, as a cinema visit.
I would say Ready Player One.
Okay. Why? Come
Oh,
on,
sorry. No, I mean the obviously the CG worked well. The story was well. Obviously, it is adapted from a book, but just all the elements that were in there, and it was one of those films that not only it kind of brought you into a digital world, and it brought into a digital world to the point of like I watched. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, there's a scene where they go into The Shining, into the book. I'd never seen that film, and I was like, oh my god, this looks quite real. And then when I went back and watched The Shining, I went, oh my god, they've replicated that in a digital world.
Yeah,
you could not tell that wasn't. And
it's
just
very clever.
Yeah, I think when a film could do that, and then it's just plus all the little elements there, it's one of those films that as many times as you watch it, you're always seeing little things here and there, which is kind of the premise of the film.
Yeah. I didn't like that when I first watched it. What I mean is, it didn't do much for me. But then on my second viewing, I loved it. Took two viewings.
Yeah.
It was similar for me actually.
So what about you then, Matt? Have you got one?
Yeah, probably one of the best cinema experiences I think I've had was Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
I don't know. I literally came out of the cinema with goosebumps. The sound was just amazing. I don't know. I just literally came out and just thought, my God, that was an amazing film. And I've never felt the only other film that's done, and I went 3 times to see that when I was a child, was The Empire Strikes Back. And after coming out every single time I came out of that, it was just like just fantastic. But Maverick was a good experience. That was really good actually. But yeah, not many films that I've come out of the cinema and thought that was something special.
Yeah, no, I think
the first Avatar in 3D. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
I think for me it was I'd have to. I mean, Maverick was good, so I won't cite that one because you've mentioned it. Blade Runner again, that was fantastic. Yeah, and the other one for me was I'll say Endgame. I have to say Endgame just because of my sheer investment as a comic book collector, and then having those characters now given to me on screen and building up to that film. And I'll still say that I'll take that film over the third one, Infinity War.
Yeah,
I still think I think Endgame's better than Infinity War, just because it has more to it, more meat to its bones. In Infinity War, it was a great film in that it was just action from non-stop from beginning to end. But then when you get to Endgame, you've got that, but you've also got a bit more story, and you've got the sheer emotion of what happens towards the end. And I don't get emotional with the Robert Downey Jr. stuff. It's the Captain America stuff that I really am more invested in. And so that was a nice, and it was just, wow, it was brilliant. So that was that one for me. Moving mad Des. Also still remember going to cinema on my 15th birthday, watched double of Phenomenon. That's Sandra Bullock film, isn't it?
No, that's Premonition. That Phenomenon's John Travolta, where he has kind of telekinesis.
I don't think I've seen that.
Which is, I do have a very interesting story about that film, funnily enough.
So Sandra Bullock one is
Premonition, I think.
Okay, all right. I sound the same. There we go. I don't think I've seen that Sandra Bullock one either. So, and Demolition Man.
What's the story then, Chris?
Oh yeah, no, it was a weird set of coincidences. So in Phenomenon with John Travolta, he's looking for a lost child. And basically, he's in this like cornfield, and there's all this like wood littered down, and he puts his hand out, and the wood starts breaking. And I went round my friend's house to watch this, and it was a TV that was on the wall. And when he did that, the TV actually fell off the wall. Like coincidence. I know it's really sick, but I was just, we were all looking at each other like, oh my god, did John Travolta just reach for like the screen? But yeah.
Wow. Demolition Man is a film that I should review at some point.
Yep.
Wesley
Because-
Snipes.
You're not
Yeah,
the biggest fan of it, though, are you?
No, and that's why I should review it, because it's going to be a very critical review. I'm not a fan of the film at all.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Shells?
Sorry?
Is it the free shells?
No, it's the fact that I'll tell you what it is. Part of it is the fact that it's a contradiction. The film contradicts itself in that we're given this setup of this society in the future that has no idea of how to deal with crime, and the police have no idea on how to deal with crime whatsoever. So they're all, you know what I mean? But then we're then introduced to this other society of individuals who live under the ground, who come up and then commit crime, do stuff like sort of people today, which then contradicts the fact that the police force has no idea on how to deal with crime when these people are actually coming up and committing what's considered crime. It's that whole thing that it just throws me out of the film, and I cannot get on with it because of that primarily for that reason. Because my mind just at that point goes, this isn't working. This story doesn't work. It deflates in on itself at this point. And that's yeah. And ever since my first viewing of it, I see things like that. It's like at the end of just another quick one. It's like the very last episode of Star Trek Next Generation does it. It does my head in, because you've got this story element where you've got this energy thing that's been created in the future and is traveling back through time and is going to destroy things in the past or something, because the Enterprise in 3 different timelines or in 3 different has fired its deflector beam into the same location of space. But yet when you get to the future, you come to find out, well, actually it's not the Enterprise that has done that. It was Beverly Crusher's medical ship, which would, geekily known here, it would be working on a different deflector shield frequency than what the Enterprise would be. So thusly the 3 things wouldn't have come together to create it in the first place. It's that sort of logic. In when I see it, I'm like, the whole thing crumbles. And that's Demolition Man for me. It just crumbles at that point. Anyway, Gareth from Video Tasty says, I'd rather be in an empty cinema too. And do you know what? I think that a packed cinema would be thankful for not having you in it as well. So there we go. Orlando Flores, hello. Hi mate, how you doing? Ian says, I'm totally out of touch with cinema, but back in the day I belonged to a cinema club which would do late night showings of films, often independent and art house films. Does this still exist? I think that there might be small places in London that cinemas that do that sort of a thing. Outside of big cities like London, honestly wouldn't say. But I know where there was some on, not on Leicester Square, but literally up one of the side roads off of Leicester Square, where there were smaller cinemas that would
or Soho
do things like that. Yeah, we know what films you're thinking of in Soho, Matt. Dr. Impossible says, I think it's going to become far more difficult to justify the cinema experience when younger generations want to see films via streaming. The 2 drivers are cost of living and streaming. Yes, totally. That's the problem. The younger generation are happy to sit there and watch a film on this. Which, okay, fair enough. I've got a 75-inch TV in the front room. As I'm sat here looking at it now, if I have my phone about that far away from me, it works out to be about the same size.
Yeah.
So if I bring the phone to there, wow, it's like I'm in a cinema. But yeah, that's the thing. Surely, like I said, I've got a 75-inch TV. If the argument was made that I want an 80-inch TV, surely I could just move my chair that much closer to it, and it sort of equates to the same. Must do. COVID was the perfect experiment to test streaming. It gave a gap period to achieve the necessary outreach that corporations wanted.
Yeah.
Beta testing the waters, but the cat's out of the bag now. Yeah, it was that. I believe that was always the plan. What has happened has always been in the planning stages. I think COVID just was that. It just brought it all forward. Definitely.
Accelerated.
And I certainly don't go cinema as often as what I did before COVID, because I got used to not going.
Mm.
I got used to not having that money as an output for cinema.
Yeah, I think it depends on your situation as well. Obviously, for you, Chris, it's pretty much on your doorstep, the cinema, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
you know, it's quite easy to access. Whereas for me, you know, I've got to get in my car, drive, you know, a distance to get to the cinema. I mean, I don't have to pay parking, but yeah, it's got to be a film that's really worth looking, you know, going to the cinema for. I did it with The Flash. I've done it obviously with Indiana Jones, Oppenheimer. I'm tempted because that looks really. I mean, even Mission Impossible, I think, really good.
Yeah.
Definitely want to see Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to see that at the cinema. But a lot of these films, I quite happily just wait and watch it at home.
Yeah. Something for nothing, thank God, quite literally. That's going back to the universe. Beginnings. Richard, how are you keeping? Afternoon, chaps. Hope you are all well. Last film I saw at the cinema was Top Gun Maverick, but we'll probably go to see MI7.
Yep.
Thank God for Tom Cruise and his films. Movie Mad says, AJ, you're all good things theory. I don't think it actually says has to be same frequency. It just 3 beams in the same area. I'll need to rewatch. Yeah, go and rewatch, because the point of that was meant to be that the Enterprise fired the beam in 3 different timelines, thusly causing the thing, as opposed to it being 3 different vessels that could do it. It was meant to be the Enterprise. I'm sure of it, but I ain't watched it for a long time for that reason. When I first saw it, it was just like, it's just falling in on itself now. The logic of the episode is falling in. Ian says that his wow factor was seeing Star Trek motion picture on release. Whole audience were just so happy to see our Star Trek heroes on the big screen. It was magical. That's going back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have just been born. So yeah, a bit before my time. Cinemas of Jesse. Hey Jesse, how you doing? Cinemas have had their business model destroyed by the streaming giants. There's only a few left who care. Cruise, Cameron, Nolan. The length of time for their films after cinema is at least 4 months. Yeah.
But here's
Well,
I was going to say, look, we're talking about stuff, and I'm trying to like integrate, because obviously I'm on the cinema side, but it's convenient for me, and I have a lot of other factors involved. Because obviously but for me, I'm trying to kind of help the cinema side of things. Now, obviously, you guys buy a lot of DVDs and 4K is brand new, so you're funding it that way, whereas I don't do it that way. So I get that side. Yeah. But I'm like, if cinemas go down the pan, obviously, then it's going to be constant streaming. Obviously, the young generation now don't really have the attention span. I know, obviously, they will watch it on their phones, but obviously, are they likely to sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours? Because obviously, when I grew up, films were 70 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes. You're lucky to have a film that's 2 hours, if not more. I say like Mission Impossible was, Mission Impossible Avatar was 3.5. I think Endgame was Endgame 3 hours?
3 hours, thereabouts, yeah.
And you're having all these big movies. Now, if it goes to streaming, are people likely to lead towards movies, or are they, because of the short attention span, go, actually, we prefer series, and movies will just die off?
Uh,
because that's what people, the younger generation, that's what they're into, the short span, the TV series. Obviously, Netflix and chill was all based on the
well, I think
TV series.
the short attention span thing, which is a highlighted issue, which I've cited for ages. Younger generation, they like to they like their content 15 seconds at a time. I mean, I know Matt's had an incident where he had a 7-second short up and he had a comment on it, and that 7-second short hadn't even been watched. 7 seconds, seriously. Yeah, it's like if you'd watched the 7-8 seconds, you'd have your answer there, but it hadn't been watched. And this is indicative of the younger generation of people, is that they're that TikTok generation, 15 seconds and that's it, 15 seconds. So when it comes to films, you see it now that films have very little setup. Films have very little character growth or anything like this. A film has to throw you into an action set piece from the get-go, from the second you get into it. Now, there are exceptions to the rule to this, because James Bond has always done that, has always sort of opened up on the end of a mission, always given you a sort of action. But for the most part, films didn't do it. And you've seen this for years. If you think about, just as an example, Superman Returns, I know full well that the scene with the machine guns on top of the building where the gun is shot into Superman's eye, that was an addition. That was an addition filmed after, because it's like, oh, we ain't got nothing happening in this section of the film. We need to put something in. So let's put that in. And film studios will happily remove character growth, character story for another bit of action. And this was my primary issue with John Wick 4. In that, even to an extent, John Wick 1, 2, 3, these are not, on the one hand, they're really good films. They're really good films, but they haven't got room for story. They're made for that. So there are cases where I can take it and I can watch it and I'm happy with it. But then there are others where I have to have more. The movie Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen is another one that I struggled with, because it's just constant action. So I start to get bored. When it's just that over and over and over again. But that's where it's made for this generation of young people who don't have the ability to maintain attention with something, with a story. They can't follow a narrative, which is really sad, because the knock-on effect of that is, 10, 20 years down the line, a lot of these people, going to be your up-and-coming filmmakers. So it's a knock-on effect of it's cause and effect, where things just dwindle and get worse and worse and worse and worse until you've given up on story. And it's really sad. That's sad.
Either that, or it will go full circle and then reset. I mean, books are still popular, aren't they? People still buy books. Obviously, you can't, it's not like an action set piece in a book. You've got to read it, get to know the characters. So,
yeah, but
I can't see books dying.
I bet book sales are not like what they used to be.
No,
maybe not.
I don't know. We'll see. Richard said he did see Jaws in 3D as well. Let me quickly rush through these few comments. Ain't many. How do you feel about Hollywood actors going, oh, we're going to bring this up? So let me come back to that one. Literally, let me just get through these other, because that was a sort of knock-on chat of cinemas going under, because obviously there will be an effect. Might see Meg 2, as looks fun. It does look fun, but I think it will be lacking something like the first Meg did. First Meg was fun, but it lacks. There's something it lacks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say violence. Sorry?
I said I rewatched that last night in anticipation for the new one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say it lacks violence and blood because, you know, the way I see it is that if a shark of that size eats a human, you ain't going to have any blood anyway because it's literally chomp, swallow.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's not that. Dr. Imposter says, I was shocked to learn that Simply Media is no longer producing DVDs. The company used to be called DD Home Entertainment. They had licenses with the BBC, Universal and MGM. So all that has stopped.
Mm.
Yeah, we're seeing a trend occurring here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Do you remember the double bill cinemas used to do back in the day? Jaws and Jaws 2 was great, even though it played Jaws 2 first.
Yeah. My cinema still do some double ones, but I think for the first lockdown, and then when they reopened, they started to bring back older movies. So I got to watch like the Karate Kid and stuff. And I think that's kind of probably, I think Ian mentioned it earlier. They should do like new cinemas should be like on a Thursday, it's Classics Day, and do like RoboCop one day because they do them, but it's only ever like one night.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, and if you can't make that time, then it's just pointless. I was like, well, I'm sure you get a lot more people in if it was like, you know, Classics Night or something. But
no, yeah, that's right. All right, so let's fall on to this question here because this, in a sense, will have a knock-on effect in however many months' time. You'll see, depending on how long this goes on for, this strike by actors, and obviously you got the writers' strike as well at the same time. I suppose it's sort of convenient to a degree that they've occurring at the same juncture. Yes, so writer strike and actor strikes and their knock-on effect to cinema and what's going on in cinema. Now, writer strikes are nothing new. We've had them before. We had, I think, the last big bout of writer strikes, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was around 2008. There might have been some between then and now, but I remember 2008 being one, and there was a knock-on effect with a lot of films. James Bond being one of them. Quantum of Solace had an effect. That was then. A lot of TV series were axed. A lot of TV series were axed. I can't see what you're pointing at, Chris.
Oh, Heroes. So that was the kind of the decline of Heroes at season 2. They went from, I think it was supposed to have a 22 episode series.
Yeah.
They filmed the first 7 or 8 episodes. The writer's strike happened. They tied the last 15 episodes into like 3, and it was just the downhill from there. Yeah,
and I know that you had something like Michelle Ryan, EastEnders actress. She was doing The Bionic Woman over in the United States, and that only got 8 episodes, and then they canned it. And to be fair to it, didn't even have the opportunity to grow into whatever it was going to grow into. They just decided to use it as an excuse to end it, and that with a lot of stuff. So writer strikes are nothing new. It happens, but then what the knock-on effect of that is the product that you get is not what it would have been. Tend to have been sort of written by people who are not writers, in a sense, like Daniel Craig doing some of the rewrites himself for James Bond, I believe, and things like that occur. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Matt? You first. What are your thoughts on the writer strikes? The actor strikes even. Do you know the reasons why? One of the reasons? Do you know any of the reasons? Have you heard?
No, to be honest, no. I mean, it's something that's only just come about, this week really, that I've sort of heard about it. I'm guessing it's more affecting the sort of lower tier actors because your big actors, they must be getting millions of pounds for films. So, but from what I understand, it's the streaming companies are taking too much money, I think, and basically want a kind of leveling up I understand, but I don't know for sure the ins and outs of it. I've not really looked into it, to be honest.
No,
Um,
I did hear something this morning. Chris, have you heard anything before I?
So, I mean, my understanding, I thought first was the writer's strike was all based on they weren't getting enough royalties and stuff from their work. And then obviously the actors have joined them in solidarity because I think the first major actor who came out was Seth MacFarlane. He joined the writers from Family Guy to help them with protests. But yeah, as like Matt says, like a lot of them who earn the big monies, it won't affect them. But my kind of concept on the whole thing, I understand that if they're not given what they're due, but I think as a whole, because that's how they're kind of treated or for most of them, because it is kind of a, not a community, I can't think of the word now, but they're all treated the whole, like, there are a lot of films and stuff written by writers that have come out, like, I think we can all test you that are a bag of shit, and that really, if you're going to want more money or more rights, you should then produce the work that matches that. You know, that's my view, but yeah.
Okay, so part of what I've heard this morning, and I don't know how much truth there is to it or not, but is that especially with a lot of the smaller actors, you know, background actors and things like this, is that they will want them to sign a thing that basically says you can come on and do one day, and then we can use your digital likeness after that. So, you know, some of these people get, you know, background actors, bit actors, you know, they can be on set for 12 hours a day, not be used, not get paid. When they are used, they might get something minimal amount of money. But now to sign a bit of paper, a contract that says, if we use you, we can use your digital likeness. So basically, we'll film you for that one scene. And then any scene we want to throw you in the background of, we'll just digitally put you there. Yeah. And then the knock-on effect of digital likeness is like where other actors are selling their digital likeness. You know, you have the knock-on effect of like Robert Downey Jr. This is what they were saying as an example, and I'll just use it because it's just easier than me thinking. Robert Downey Jr. signs to Marvel saying, yeah, you can use my digital likeness. 20 years down the line, Marvel wants to reboot Iron Man. We can use Robert Downey Jr. again. We just use his digital likeness.
Yeah.
And that's party to it. I mean, I haven't read up on it. I just watched the video, and they were saying that sort of stuff has come to light, which is wrong, which is disgusting. You know, because basically you've got these people at the tops like Bob Iger and whatnot, Disney, and the amount of money that they're making is all on the back of these people. And it's always the way: the rich get richer, poor get poorer. And these people are on the ground. These small actors, small-time actors. You got to think a lot of these big actors came from that. You know, that's where they started, waiting to get their foot in the door. Yeah. And taking that away from a future generation of people where you can make something digitally and you haven't really got to pay a penny.
No.
So the knock-on effect for cinema in a year's time could see a load of trash coming into the cinema with the strikes going on. Well, thank you very much.
And also, again, you probably find the cinemas will have to be showing some of the older classics again because there just won't be the. Mind you, it might not be such a bad thing. Might be that actually there's less films to see, so maybe that will kind of, I don't know, slow things down again a bit.
It would nice to speak. It would nice to see people, you know. And a younger generation of people finding these films that way, you know, that would be nice and rejuvenate. I mean, I'm probably living in a pipe dream saying that, but that'd be a nice scenario where older films are put back on because there is no or not much new content, and they come to realise, oh, man, people are coming to see this stuff.
Yeah.
People are seeing this.
Yeah.
You know, because we're making, you know, because you got to think the amount of money they've got to make is minimal because the film's already made.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be nice to have you know, an introduction to a younger audience with a lot of these films. It certainly would. But will that happen? Probably not.
Yeah. Like you say, it's definitely going to have a knock-on effect to TV series and things. But again, I just feel, to be honest, there's too much entertainment now. There's just so much to consume. Half the time, we can't even keep up with it because there's just so many different series. I actually prefer just to have, I don't know, less is more sometimes.
Yeah. So
You know.
Michael's jumped in from Michael's Movie Corner. He's done a great Doctor Who What If. Go and check it out, people. And Michael's just got to 300 subs. Not long ago, a few days ago. So well done to Michael. And check out his Doctor Who What If that he's done. What if Donna had stayed with the Doctor after The Runaway Bride and not gone back home? And yeah, go and watch it. But he says, howdy lads, I'm mixed on if cinema is dying. I know mine charge 2 different ticket prices from open till 3 tickets are $9.99 and after 3 it's $12.99. Is that a View? I'm assuming, is that a View cinema?
I thought he went cheaper, but
yeah. So Michael says the same here. Look, with the actors going on strike, with the writers, it's basically little to no residuals. Yep, and AI trying to replace everyone. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I think the residual side of it is much down to a lot of it is down to the streaming and what's happening on streaming. Because as you know, like, I don't know the name of the film, but I know that Disney put a film on and it was only up for 4 weeks and then they took it down because of poor performance. It was a sci-fi film. Now the people who worked on that film, no recognition. The actors, no recognition because the film's gone. The film can't be seen by anyone. It can on illegal sites and things like that. But, you know, if you've got an actor and you go for a new job and they say, oh, what have you done? Or a writer, what have you written before? Well, I've written this. Well, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that project. You can't see the project that I was in because it was only up for 4 weeks and now it's been removed.
Yeah.
And so it's not there. It's like the work I've done, even though I've been paid for that work I've done, it's non-existent to your portfolio, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's quite disgusting.
I do find all of this, Disney keeps removing stuff. But, I mean, not being funny, but I mean, I haven't subscribed to them now for a couple of months. I've got a deal where I've got like a 3-month subscription that I get with Tesco's. So I'm waiting, I think, till August because I think you've got the Secret Invasion TV series, which is currently coming.
Yep.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 should be on there in August. And then you've got Ahsoka. So I'm kind of thinking, well, let's get money's worth and watch, at least one film and a couple of TV series. But even when you go through, there's not a huge amount of content on there, I mean, the Star platform, there's not that many films on there. You can pretty much scroll through it within about 10 minutes. I understand why they just keep removing stuff. You don't need to be adding stuff because that tells a consumer, well, there's nothing on there for me to watch.
Well, they make more money by removing it. I mean, the Flash film, Warner Brothers would have made more money if they'd canned the film altogether.
Yeah. Because
of tax write-offs and things like this. They'd have made more money than what they have if they haven't released it in the cinema.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's that Batwoman situation, And there are rumours that Marvel were considering doing it with one of their projects. they haven't admitted which project it is. It was either Secret Invasion, which I don't believe it was Secret Invasion, or Echo. And that's the likely one because Echo is being dropped all in one day.
Yeah.
They're dropping the entire series in one later on in the year. And I'm surely Samuel Jackson's also a draw for Secret Invasion. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Echo, though, is a character.
What is that?
What is it?
Yeah, what is Echo?
She's a woman from Hawkeye, the Hawkeye TV series. She's she's deaf.
Yes.
And also has a bionic limb or something, I want to say, in real life as well as in the actress who plays her. But yeah, she was like a kind of hired gun in.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. I think isn't the actress deaf in real life?
Yeah, I think she's deaf and has disability, but I'm not.
What'd you say?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's dropping it all in one day. Wow. How many episodes?
Probably 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be later on though, so expect that to be rubbish. Which, to be fair, I mean, why? I mean, I don't mean to sound bad here, but they've probably done that for her for the reasons that she's
being a bit more diverse.
Yes. Yeah. Nice way to put it. I want to put it so nice. Well, yeah, because of her disabilities, to sort of, I don't want to say pander to people, but that's essentially what it is. That's the way I see it. There was no reason to give her a character a show.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't a standout really in Hawkeye. I didn't come away from Hawkeye thinking I want to see her in her own show.
Yeah.
No, I came away thinking I want to see Haley Steinfeld headline her own show as Hawkgirl. But there we go. Good point about attention spans. In the late 1920s to the 70s, attention spans were more accommodating to subject matter, but today it's become virtually non-existent with younger teens.
Yeah. It's all this.
It is, yeah. Yeah, 15 seconds.
Well, you may find that it's actually, prevalent in all age groups. I'm sure there are some young people, and I mean, within the community, it's nice to see young people. I'm talking in their early 20s, still picking up physical media, and are prepared to watch films. So I guess maybe the majority, yes, but I do think you'll find it in all age groups. There'll be people in their 50s that are, quite happily just be looking at a short or whatever.
That's called Alzheimer's.
Well, yeah.
But no, you're right. There's always going to be an exception to the rule. Of course there is.
Yeah.
And there will be, people that are young people and whatnot that are. But as a majority, like you said,
yeah,
and I believe it to be an ever, that amount of people that are is ever shrinking.
Yeah.
They don't want to learn at school. They don't want to, I don't know what's going on. It's just it's crap. But there we go. But Michael says, Michael knows quite a bit about this stuff. With both writers and actors, in order to keep their health insurance, they need to earn a minimum of 26k a month.
Wow.
Or it'd be probably a year.
Yeah.
A year. I'd say a year there. A month is hefty. That's got to be a year. But yeah, that's interesting, Michael. I heard that James Earl Jones sold the rights to his voice to Star Wars.
Yeah, that was recently, wasn't it? I think something come out because he said he wouldn't do any more, but obviously they've got all the images and that of him. So
I mean, he's an old man, isn't he? Can't blame him.
But I mean, that obviously begs the question. Obviously, if you give over your AI appearance as a background actor, that's easier for the studios to replicate you. But to use AJ's thing, if Robert Downey Jr. gives over his physical depression, are they going to take his voice as well? Because surely you would need that to use him in any physical capacity.
That
As a
might be part.
background actor.
That might be part of the deal.
Mm.
And you'll get to the point. I'm sure AI could probably do it now. They could probably. I'm sure AI has got the ability to string a sentence together in someone's voice.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know.
But then begs the question, you know, in the future, will you actually need actors, or will they just create, you know, just create artificial people using images they grab from the internet?
The thing is, you're almost there anyway, because everything, you know, you think of something like a Star Wars now, the way that's filmed for the most part, like The Mandalorian, you know, 95% of what you're seeing is fake anyway. The backgrounds, it's only then, you know, you're essentially watching a cartoon with you know, even when you go back to the Phantom Menace and things like that, everything you're watching is fake, apart from the couple of characters on the screen. Everything around them is digitally created. So you're almost there. But yeah, how many youngsters or teens, including adults, do read books? Just like streaming, information can be redacted or removed from text of newer books. Streaming is a revisionist pursuit for older films. Yeah. I mean, how many people do read books?
I read comic books.
That's fair enough, because I do. I read, you know, so I can't knock that. And you know, although I have noticed, and you probably have as well, Chris, and this comes to the attention span things, if you open up a comic book of today compared to a comic book 20 years ago, the word count is you know, you can read a comic today in 3 or 4 minutes. Back then, it would take you 20 minutes to get through one. The word count now is horrendous. Very few. You've got to go to the independent titles to actually get that kind of, you know, your Marvel and DC are just, you know, you can go like that, almost like image storytelling, because again, it links into that. It links into that, you know. But yeah, and that's why I like. And that's part of the reason why I like picking up, you know, these sets. You know, some of these sets when they give you a DVD set with a book in with information in. You know, it bugs me when I open one up and it's like, oh, it's just pictures. I like a bit of word in there, so I've got something to read about it.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of backstory to, you know, the film and production and actors.
Michael says, I miss when shows used to have 22 episodes instead of 6 to 10. You're talking about your 22 episodes were on your sort of standard TV channels. It's changed now, though, isn't it? You know, a lot of the stuff that you get, you know, your 6 to 10 episodes are created for that. Although it's we've seen it, like I said, with Star Trek. The newest Star Trek series, Picard season 2 and Discovery, they were the biggest offenders of this. Is that the story? You know, they say, all right, we want 10 episodes of this, but we want one story to fit that 10 episodes. And then you find a lot of filler rubbish thrown in.
Yeah,
they want the one story as opposed to the episodic. And really, what you're saying, you know, so the writers go and say, okay, well, I've got a story here that will logically fit 6 episodes, but now we've got to pan it out to fit 10. And I remember with Discovery, there was one episode. What season was it? I don't know if you may have stopped watching that, but Michael will be able to say if he's watching. You had that big anomaly in space that was destroying planets and things like that. And they went in to destroy it with something. and they went all through this hassle of getting this bomb in there and exploding it, and they destroyed this anomaly. And then 5 minutes later, another one's just appeared to take its place. So everything you've gone through over the past couple of episodes has been pointless to the narrative, because you've gone through all this to destroy it, only for it to be replaced by another one straight away, which renders that whole story now pointless.
Yeah.
Whereas you might as well have ejected that and reduced your episode count by a couple of episodes. So instead of writing something, this is the way I think it should be done, is that we say, okay, we want a story for, latest Marvel, Star Wars. Okay, I'll write you a story. Now, logically, or Star Trek. Now, logically, this story will fit 8 episodes. We want 10 episodes. But this will fit 8. I can't really do anything more with it. No, we want it to fit 10. Okay, now stretch it and put rubbish in.
Yeah.
And that's the way they do it. They would work to a number rather than to what the story actually should logically be and fit.
It was replay as well, wasn't it? Back in the day, you would do it like Star Trek. You would do 22 episodes, but each episode was individual. So if you ever replayed it, you didn't have to do it in order.
No, that's right. It was because you had a lot of what was the word?
Episodic. Yeah.
Yeah. Programs were. I forget the word now. Basically, you'd have 1, 2, 3 new episodes, and you'd have a couple of repeats.
Yeah.
And a couple of new episodes, then a repeat, and it would work like that. Preempted. It was preempted. That's the word I'm looking for. And when a show's episodic like that, where it's kind of hits the reset button at the end of the episode, you can throw in any other episode, and any casual viewer who's just casual and not following as a fan can just watch and with no, sort of break in the continuity, because there is none.
Yeah.
No.
So they used to preempt a lot, and that's why shows were written that way. And it weren't, I don't think it was until about, I think it was like the first show to really step away from that might have been Babylon 5 and give you the story arc.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first show to ever, J. Michael Straczynski, who wrote Babylon 5, and Chris, you might know him as a comic book writer as well.
Yeah.
Because he's done some fabulous Spider-Man runs. He's done, and I think he's gone on to DC, hasn't he? He was like working with DC. He was the first person to ever write an entire series, an entire 22 episode series of a show, without having guest writers and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you had the likes of something like 24 come along and things like that, and they started stepping into that realm of stepping away from episodic and giving you overall story arcs.
Yeah.
But they've gone back to that, haven't they, with Strange New Worlds?
Yes, because it works better for Star Trek.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been watching your reviews because obviously I'm guessing there's spoilers in there, but
There would be. Yeah.
how are you finding the second season?
Up and down. Up and down in that they're doing things that I don't think they should be doing this early on.
Right.
There's been a couple of great episodes, but then there's been a couple of episodes where I've just lost interest straight away. And, Captain Pike in these first few episodes seemed to have been pushed into the background, with him hardly appearing whatsoever. And he was the main draw of the show for a lot of people. And they don't like what they've done there. But when it's good, it's good. Hopefully it will, we're halfway through. It'll hopefully pick up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying the other night, I think they've done too much. They've tried to give you too much Star Trek at once.
Yeah.
Here we go, like Star Wars and Marvel. Bam, there you go. And people are like, bored of this. Because let's be honest, your first couple of, every season of Discovery has been abysmal for the most part. First 2 seasons of Picard have been abysmal. So a lot of people you've actually pushed away.
Yeah.
And then you've got shows that are only, really will have an interest to a certain demographic. And I'm talking about Prodigy and not Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks. Because there are people that, same with Marvel's What If. There's a lot of people that won't have watched Marvel's What If simply because it's animation. They won't take it seriously. And the same with Star Trek. People will say, all right, that's for kids. Straight away, that's for kids not watching it.
Yeah.
And they've oversaturated what they've done. That coupled with bad writing.
Yeah.
And they've tried to course correct, and it might be a bit too late. That's the issue. They tried to course correct with Strange New Worlds. Because, like I've said the other night, the intention was never to throw the Discovery into the future. People questioned, why are you making a show set in the past? We don't want that. We want to see the Federation further on.
Yeah.
Right? You're giving us a show that's now telling me that Spock had a sister. He never had a sister. You're giving me a show where a spaceship doesn't need a warp drive because it's got the ability to jump from this point in space to this point in space instantaneously. Where's that technology come from?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they do a rewrite. Well, what we're going to do is we'll do a story where we throw the ship into the future, and no one in the past they've got to sign a non-disclosure agreement to say, never mention Spock's sister and never mention the Discovery and what it could do.
Yeah.
And that's why in the original context of Star Trek, it would never have been spoken about, because they tried to course correct and it was just a failure. But also these shows are written, this is what it's saying, you've got the basic premise of Star Trek, which has always been, I'm going to give you 7 characters. Here's 7 main characters. Your captain, your science officer, your medical officer, your whatever else, right?
Engineering, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to give you that. And it doesn't work for Discovery or Picard season 1 and 2, because you've done that and saying to you, this is your main cast. But now we're going to give you a story that isn't episodic, that is one big thing. And now a lot of them characters are not required in this story.
No.
We've got main cast members that are wholly undeveloped. I can't tell you the names of almost half of the crew of the Discovery.
No.
And you're 4 seasons in.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
No.
Because they haven't had any time. And when they did have time in the last season, it felt so shoehorned in that it was just, you could tell it's just bad writing, abysmal writing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Oh, that's Michael. Michael coming in, starting to bring Star Trek into it without bringing Star Trek into it. It's the Arc Cinema is his local. I've never heard of Arc.
Yeah.
That must be an Irish chain, I'm assuming. Tickets have gone up in price, says Luke.
Yeah.
So that's surprising because obviously Cineworld dropped their prices 3 months ago, but it depends on where you're based. So like now my local cinema, it's $6.99 for a ticket, which I don't think is too bad.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
if you go to another Cineworld, say, I know there's a Cineworld at Huntingdon. So if you was to go there, it might not necessarily be the same price. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So basically I pay a membership, but it's your like in a band. So I'm like, I think in band 1, which is like the lowest one. But yeah, if I went to London, I'd have to pay a massive amount more on top of my membership to go there. But I think memberships is the way to try and entice people back in.
Oh,
to
yeah.
do, like, and like $10.99 isn't a lot of money. I know obviously a lot of things are going on, but I mean, with like family deals, if you were to go like £30 a month for a cinema ticket for a family of 4, and that could be any combination you want it to be, 1 adult, 3 kids, 3 adults, 1 kid.
Yeah.
Like more people would go, and then they would be like, well, we're only spending $7.50 a month on the ticket. I'll treat myself to some popcorn or I'll buy the odd bit, and that's where
Yeah.
they'll get the money. But
Yeah.
that's just my idea.
No, I mean,
No.
so go on, Matt. Sorry.
No, it was what I came back to earlier on. I think, you know, they just got to look at the business model and look at it, and how can we improve this, make it more attractive, let's make it more of an experience, let's do bundles. You know, they've got to change the way that you can't just expect to charge 10 quid to see a film, charge you 5 quid for a drink, 5 quid for popcorn, and expect to get people in every single week, because it won't happen.
No, it won't. But it sort of segues in what you're saying, because Michael said that his cinema here has had to open a place to do bowling, laser tag, and arcade games to try and keep afloat before the pandemic. So they're trying to, branch out to try and draw people in, which, where have we gone? Bloody hell, I've lost it. Streaming is still in its infancy as an interface technology. There will be a lot of changes and alterations to come as these large corps develop the media platform. VR technology is another aspect. Yeah, and that goes back to what you're saying, Matt, that, you know, there'll be streaming services that come and go before they, you know, and some might have to combine and things like that. But we're already seeing them changes. Obviously, with this stuff that Disney's taking down and not allowing us to see, possibly some of that stuff you'll see pop up on because other companies, other streaming places might pay them to utilize that project and show it.
Yeah.
But it's not what you want to hear as a, you know, if I'm paying for Disney, then I don't want to go and have to pay for, I don't know, Paramount, because that's the company that's bought the thing that Disney don't want to show me. Martin's here. Hi, Martin. Hope you're keeping well. From 4K Michelin Star Movies. It's a real shame. We have been crying out for a cinema in central Watford. We finally get one with IMAX screen, and now Cineworld is going under. Really disappointing. That's the problem. I mean, even for me, you'd think, you know, AJ, you're in London, so, you know, you got a cinema close by. The cinema that I use close by is probably about 6 miles away, right? Which it isn't far, really, but that can take me 50 minutes to drive to at the wrong time of day. And this is the other thing about cinemas and this does put me off of going, is that, you know, I've got almost an hour there, an hour back, so 2 hours. I'm rounding up here. Let's say you got a 2 hour film, right? That's 4 hours, but you're there at the time where, you know, before the adverts start. That's 4.5. I'm looking at about 5 hours out.
Yeah.
5 hours of my day lost, of time lost to go and see a film of 2 hours. So essentially 3 hours of nothing.
Yeah.
Of lost
That's
time.
the other thing that bugs me about the cinema. You're paying to watch adverts. I don't want to watch adverts before sitting and watching the film. Or, you know, I want to go in, watch some trailers. I don't need to see all these adverts, you know. And you're paying to watch those adverts, and that really winds me up.
But then that's how they're making some of their money as well, isn't it? Because the advertisers are advertising to show in front of the films.
Yeah.
Try and get you to go out and buy the latest Hyundai 4x4, all things. You know what I mean? I don't know.
They did it. I don't know whether they still do it on DVDs. I don't notice it on Blu-rays or 4Ks, but there was a period where they were doing that even on films.
Yeah,
you'd get like they did it. I'm sure it was Mars Bar. They did an advert before you got to the main menu bit, and I'm like, I don't want to see this, you know.
No, I totally agree.
You just skip button. like YouTube.
Yeah.
But you can't. They actually
no.
made it so you couldn't skip it.
Yeah.
That was really.
I mean, the last Blu-ray I bought that had an advert on it was an advert for ensuring that you use contraception and get yourself tested for safe sex.
Really? Well.
Yeah, Soho don't sell them sort of Blu-rays anymore, though. I'm joking. I haven't seen one with that one. Yeah. I'm guessing they were on there. Hell, I'm even seeing on TikToks people using AI to get certain people doing AI covers of songs. Like the ones I see the most is Kid Michael Jackson doing AI cover of his songs as an adult. I mean, yeah, that goes into like, you know, the opening of Secret Invasion. The opening. I mean, have you watched Secret Invasion, Chris? Oh no, I'm not talking about. Don't worry, I'm not talking about the show. But the actual opening, you know, the title sequence of the episode was apparently all created by AI.
Okay.
Yeah, and not a person, not people. And that there was a bit of a kickoff about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there was a thing that was out. You know, there's that new app where AI can create stuff, and people have said like, if you use your image, you actually give that app
your image
to use your image because it's created something which is scary, and it's that simple.
Well, I think that's the same as Facebook, isn't it? If you put a photo on Facebook, then they're allowed to use that. You know, you could go down the street and see a billboard for Facebook, advert for Facebook, and there's your mug on it. And you can't do nothing about it. So Movie Mad says a lightning strike just took out all the power on the caravan site, but back up now. Yeah, he's away at the moment. I know. Hope you're having a nice time. Obviously not with a...
yeah, a bit of thunder here, actually. About 10 minutes ago. It went really dark, and then...
Caveman Movies and More. Hey, everyone. Will Smith slap that like button. Will Smith can't get away from that, can he? Thanks, Caveman Movies and More. Am I not subbed to Caveman Movies and More? I don't know. Am I? I'm going to have to check that one out. Matt, do you recognise that channel?
Yeah, he's
friends with Tony, ain't he?
Tony, Basement Blues.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll have to check that one out. Speaking of Trek, I was rewatching the Wednesday live stream and I kept laughing.
That's your one, ain't it? When you watch.
Yeah, it was a
quiz, wasn't it?
Yeah, I lost. That was inevitable. Yeah,
because Michael and Big Chris, they're quite
geeky,
quite techie, aren't they?
Yeah, geeky is the technical
they certainly know that. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of stuff myself.
Oh no, there were some good questions I answered. One question was who wrote the episode City on the Edge of Forever? Straight away I went Harlan Ellison. I knew that.
I wouldn't know that.
Famous writer. I'm surprised Michael didn't know that one. I'm shocked, Michael. But I didn't lose by much. Season 4, C10, I believe they called it. That's to do with that episode that I was talking about where they...
I thought that was season 3 for some reason because it was before it went to Paramount, but...
I don't know.
I remember when you said about it, I'm like, I swear I've seen that, but I've only watched it when it was on Netflix. And I only think they did 3 seasons on Netflix, didn't they, before they moved it over to Paramount. But I could be wrong.
What's this? I say I missed 20 plus episode shows, and yet I haven't started Steven Universe.
Yeah, it's an animated Cartoon Network one.
Okay, a cartoon for you older farts. I don't know it. That its first season is 51 episodes long.
Yep.
Anime. So is it anime? Is it anime?
No, that's not anime, but yeah, it's in the realm of anime lengths, which so like Naruto is my favorite one. It's 22 episodes technically for the first series.
Okay, so when did this come about? This show? Do you know about it? Just
2000s, maybe late 2000s. I've not seen it, but I know of it.
So it was after my time then.
Yeah.
There's Sorry, go on, Matt.
So I've just been thinking about the possible trend that may happen. Could you see, obviously you've got like Paramount Plus, Disney, Warner Brothers, that all these studio streaming sites, can you see them saying, right, it's not working, cinema's not working, we're going to release our films only on our streaming site, and you, in order to watch these films, you have to subscribe to us? Can you see that happening?
Yes. Yeah, but I think I said this, didn't I? Cheers. The problem with a lot of the streaming content, film wise, is much akin to big budget straight to DVD films.
Yeah.
That's what that is. I would. If cinema went and it was just streaming, I honestly don't think you'd get the. There's still a difference between the two. A difference between what hits the cinema and what gets made for streaming. And see, this is the thing that worries me about cinemas going under, is whether everything will then turn the way of what we're given on streaming. And a lot of these films on streaming are instantly forgettable. You know, there's films that I've watched a couple of months ago and I cannot remember a thing about them. Streaming films.
Yeah.
Because they're not, I don't know, they're disposable.
We watched one the other day on Netflix, and it was only last week, and it said it was trending #6 film, and it was an Australian film, like a sort of, well, kind of psychological horror thing, I think. But again, kind of got to the end of it and thought, what was the point in that? And it just felt like a nothing film, just like, you know, what was the point in that? But it's obviously doing quite well on Netflix, and I forget the name of the film now, but
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Every time I watch Netflix, I kind of think, and there's been the odd thing. I mean, that Extraction 2 is supposed to be quite good, but
it's
I
very
haven't
good.
seen that yet.
They're good films, but still there's something about them that doesn't quite scream cinema.
Blockbuster, yeah.
I don't know. I think it more so Extraction 1, but Extraction 2 was up the ante a bit. But Extraction 1, there's still something about it that screams, apart from the last act, that screams straight to streaming. And I've said this before, I cannot properly put my finger on what it is about these shows or these films that they lack.
They're just a bit generic, aren't they?
They are very generic. They're almost like, I'll tell you what it's like. It's like, as opposed to having a film where you've got a script written with someone in mind and saying this script is written for this person, this is the actors that we have in mind for this script. It's kind of like you can imagine these companies having, here's a pile of scripts behind me, all written. We've got Chris Hemsworth. Oh, have we? Oh, okay. That one will do. It's kind of like that kind of thing about them, and I don't, that they're written, they're ready to go, and we get whoever we can get, regardless of whether they're a proper fit or not. Ideally, sign a big name to it because it will draw an audience.
Almost like a production line, isn't it? You know, just turn out all of these films on it doesn't really matter who's in it. You know, doesn't really matter about the story. Let's just get it out and see if
it doesn't. No, that's right. It doesn't matter about the story. It matters who's in it, in the sense of not whether they're fit for it, but in the sense of we've got Ryan Reynolds attached to this.
Yeah,
we've got Dwayne The Rock Johnson attached to it. We've got Golda attached to it. right?
Yeah.
That film that they done. I can't even remember the title of that film.
Red Notice.
Okay, there we go. Red Notice. That wasn't a good film.
It
Right.
had one good bit in my eyes.
I can't remember the film, and it's a pretty new film. And I'm not going to knock Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds. They probably are. If I recall, they had great chemistry together. That's probably one of the best things about it. But overall, you've come away from the film, and I cannot remember it because we've given you this film, and we're drawing our audience in by the names attached to it. We don't care about the story or the quality of it. There's your film. There's the names. Those names will bring us an audience. And then now, 6 months down the line, however long it's been, where's that film?
Yeah.
Buried in amongst all this crap to be forgotten.
Yeah.
Whereas you see, like Superman Returns, ain't it? It's like just a formula, ain't it? Like action, a little bit of talking, action. Then we've got a white person in it, a person of certain race. You got male, female, and all this stuff. Yeah, it just is tick all the boxes. Job done. On to the next one.
Absolutely. So Michael's got some. He's got, because we're out of time now. We're at the end. So Michael, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to read your messages. Hello all. TJ, thank you for popping in, AJ. Oh, that was on TJ's live. He went live before this, before I had this planned, and I was sort of watching that and left a couple of comments in there. So thank you for popping back. Season 3 deals with the burn. Season 4 deals with Species 10C. Yeah, it was season 4. Okay. Michael's right there. He did say about Spock's brother. But Spock's brother was only for one film, whereas we've got by Michael Burnham being Spock's sister for the entirety of a series, main lead of a series, heading her own starship up. Thanks for popping in, AJ. I had that.
You've gone backwards, I think.
Have I?
Yeah, because that's just before the season 3.
Yeah. I wanted to be. At this point, I've stopped watching Netflix and others. I'll either watch YouTube or something that's in my collection, says Michael. Makes sense. During COVID, the movie studio lost their minds and were releasing films simultaneously on stream as well in theatres. Black Widow was an example of this, and hence the reason why Scarlett Johansson sued. That's true. I'll just get to the end of these and then we'll wrap up. She wasn't getting a percentage of the cinema profits, so many films went from theatrical to streaming. Yeah, I remember that.
Because she's got enough money already.
Sorry?
I said she's got enough money anyway. This is, I think, a bit of a...
Yeah, I know. No, but if you've signed a contract to say that, then rightly so, really. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I can't blame her. On the one hand, from our perspective, yeah, you've got the money, you're rich, you don't need it. But from another, if I've signed a contract to say you're going to fulfill this for me and you haven't fulfilled that and I've lost out because of it, then rightly so.
Yeah.
Michael says, no worry, AJ. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Thank you, Michael. I'll speak to you soon. Adam Davey, we're just leaving. We're leaving the chat. Take care, all. Thank you, TJ. Okay, so before we go, I'm gonna close down the comments now, so no more comments. Okay, so thank you for that. Sorry it's been so long since we've done a live stream. It's been a while. I want to get back into them. So next week, Matt, we're doing a live on yours. When are you available? Because I'm not available on Saturday.
Might have to probably miss next week because next Sunday I'm on Dan's Movie Caves stream on Sunday afternoon.
To do with Bruce Lee.
The Bruce Lee special, yeah. So I think I can only commit to one stream really at a weekend.
No, that's fair enough. So, why didn't I get an invite to that? Oh no, I'm not a fan of Bruce.
Not the Bruce Lee, yeah.
So everyone, people watching, Matt's on live next
Sunday.
Yeah, what time is that on Sunday?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Okay, so I might do a live next Sunday, in the morning. Then I'll make sure it won't clash with that. I might do a solo or I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'd happily do one, but I just doing 2 in one day. I know you've done that yourself, but
yeah, I know.
It's quite a lot in one day, isn't it?
Yeah, but Saturday I'm out all day. I'm out. I'll be out on my supboard on some river somewhere.
Cool.
Catching,
Yeah,
catching Wells disease.
maybe we'll do it the weekend
Oh.
after.
Wait a minute.
Is it yams? Oh.
Look, I'm ending. I'm
No, I guessed the link. I actually got it right this time, so I'm ready. What are we talking about?
wrapping up. Are you taking the mic?
It's taken me 2 hours to guess these random letters and numbers.
You've been sat there watching this, right? And now you decide to pop in when you can clearly saw that I was shutting down. And what's
Oh, is it
the
nap time?
Why have you put my face behind you like however many
That's not
times?
AI at work.
How are you?
AJ. AI.
See, I get a
Hello,
lot of
everyone.
hassle saying I never invite you onto the channel, and here you are.
Yeah, but you didn't invite me. I just crashed
Yes, you did crash.
at the Penguin.
He was waiting. You've been waiting that whole time until he's going to close it down. Now I'm coming in.
Yeah, now you can keep it going.
What do you want to talk about?
You?
Why,
Is there a
you-
God? Discuss.
What?
Is there a God? Oh, here we go.
Which is the one true religion?
What? Sorry,
Which is the one true religion?
there isn't one true religion. They're all fables. They're all
that
made
might
up.
upset more than anyone.
I believe there was a man named Jesus. I believe that. And I believe that he was as great at inspiring people. I don't believe he had
Just like
magical
you.
powers.
No.
No, you've really thrown me off my game now. I was ending.
It's fine. You're in my teeth.
Sorry?
You were in my teeth. Like, ah.
Yeah, that's awkward.
I don't know if I got green teeth or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So why didn't you come in earlier, Gareth?
It's a long story. I'll tell you later.
Okay. So you obviously know Matt. Do you know Chris?
I do not yet.
Chris?
Hello.
5 Sigma Screen Time and Toys. Gareth? Do you know Gareth, Chris?
I've seen some of his videos, but I don't even know if I follow him. And
Ooh.
I will do. I'll make sure. I'll check you out. But yeah, I've seen he does the watch videos, doesn't he? Because you've watched Jules. Was it? Did you watch?
I didn't watch
Ooh.
Punisher.
No, Star Trek.
Supposed to. You went on holiday.
And
They've done
Punisher.
loads. They've done loads.
What's
Punisher.
that? Punisher, yeah.
Yeah, Punisher.
3
Um,
Punishers.
And Thingy's
Bond,
coming at Christmas.
Bond as well. He could do it. He could do an anime with you.
He could do an anime.
I don't watch kids'
Yeah.
films.
Hold on a minute. I think ain't your next month gonna be just random anything?
It is.
There you go.
Ghost in the Shell. You could do. That's a classic anime, isn't it?
I do like Scarbo.
Oh, you see, you can do that. Yeah, but no, we're doing at Christmas. We're doing my sing along to Spirited.
He knows
Which-
the lyrics off by heart, so
I
that
do.
should be an easy one.
I'm playing them daily in the car at the moment. I'm getting my, my voice right. I'm getting it
Vocal
down.
cords.
Yeah, so that I can sing it without the music.
I'll put the auto tune on.
You will get a copyright strike for how good my voice is. It won't be
Nice.
like your other sing-alongs. This will be done properly.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, like wow, this guy here should be
Well,
on
the
stage.
actual guest does take part.
Yeah, this geezer should be on stage singing this stuff. That's what it's going to be.
Building yourself up on this.
So I was just going to go round and get people to plug their channel a bit and what they've got coming up.
I don't know.
So, Matt, we've already ascertained that you're doing Bruce Lee next weekend with Dan.
Dan's
Man
Mood
Cave.
Cave. There's Carlos and 101 Bronson, I believe.
Oh, that'd be good.
So yeah,
All right, so
It'll be a
everyone,
good stream.
make sure you tune into that. Chris, what about yourself? What have you got? What upcoming things have you got on your channel? Obviously, everyone can go and see your Mission Impossible review now.
Yep.
That's just up.
Yeah, just the usual ones. I think for next week, probably Oppenheimer when it comes out, and then on the toy channel, I think I've got an Out and About coming on Monday, and that's about it. I haven't got too much planned at the minute.
Okay. Gareth, what's going on your channel this week?
I don't know. I make it up as I go.
No, you don't. Who have you got on?
We're
What have you got?
discussing Blackadder on Monday night.
Oh, okay, yeah.
80s horror films with nudity on Wednesday. American Pie Watch Party on Thursday. And Cliffhanger on Saturday so far.
Okay, and when are we? Because I said to you about we're going to do a watch party at Debbie Does Dallas, didn't we?
We wouldn't get far into that, though. So Demolition Man, I heard you wanted to do.
I don't want to do. I could do Demolition Man, but I would be very critical of it. Much like I would have been of the Batman had you let me do that one.
Yeah. Well, still on the cards.
You don't want to do 3 hours, so split it over 2 nights.
Unless you want to start now, I'll go and get the disc and we'll pop it on.
Oh, now I'm done. I'm going.
No.
So anyway, so everyone watching, I'm going because Gareth just like annoyed me by jumping in right at the end. I should have just not opened that up. Thanks for
It's your
watching.
fault.
I will. I'll add links to this for everyone, including Gareth.
Ooh.
Now he can't say why don't I let him come on the channel.
Well, this is it.
Well, you could have come in earlier
Debut.
if you'd figured it out. But it's great having you on, Gareth. Thank you very much.
Well, this counts, I guess. Thank you.
Yes, I'm going now. I'm ending this. I'm ending the broadcast. Take it easy. See you later.
Cheers.